Well, we're gonna assume it worked.
No, it's gonna be the worst part.
What?
I don't have this nifty button to press in order to do all my rolls like you guys have, so I gotta manually input all this shit.
Oof.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Well.
It's fucking great.
No digital version of the game, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. Awful.
That is unfortunate.
Okay. So, last time, we ended with you all going back to your respective homes, lodging, etc., etc., and getting ready to venture out to the Iron Whelp, or at least where you were told that they make the defoliant, which you know to be far away, because Kassan mentioned it was not in the city. Correct. I need a reminder here. Who's staying where? I assume that Loris is staying in the infirmary still. Is that correct?
Correct.
I assume Joe is staying with is now acting as chaperone within the city. Is that the correct assumption here?
She would drop them off at a reasonable place and then go back to her home, which I just decided I have an apartment that is literally a tiny hole in the wall place that pretty much has a deed that says whoever has the key and this deed owns this place, and I found it on a guy I killed and was like, all right, I have this now.
It hasn't impacted anything. Yeah. So that's fine.
I'm just gonna say I drop them off and I go pass out in my tiny hole in the wall because nobody else can fit in there.
Okay. Do you drop them off at where do you drop them off?
We decided to go to Hammercroft because we figured they'd be the only place with buildings.
Right, because you went to the dwarven section.
Yeah.
And did you tell that to Kassan?
Wait, I thought this became a sleepover. I thought I'm staying at the tree.
Oh, he's staying at the Spire.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we had mentioned oh yeah, we're trying to find a place that's big enough, and you had said, yeah, we're gonna
I need to check how much money everybody had.
Okay.
Let's see.
Alright, well this will be pretty simple then.
I don't remember if we told Kassan anything. I think she'd already left.
It'll be fine.
Okay.
They play the exact same music. I don't remember what it was.
It was the port town. There it is.
There we...
Foggers.
Or fishing village, yeah.
Oh, it sounds like just sounds like a town.
Yeah, that's all it sounds like. Okay. Loris, you wake up the following day to the standard moaning and just general moans of pain and woe is me of all the individuals around you sleeping in the infirmary. You hear some of them calling out for assistance or medicine or more painkillers, and you just rise to your normal day.
Yep.
As you go about your morning routines, you see the various employees around just kind of going about tending to the wounded or tending to those who are staying here, be it in temporary care to be released later, or as is a specialty here, dealing with some level of hospice care and tending to people on their way out, as you're very well aware. There, right as you're going about your morning routine, you hear a very loud commotion coming from the entryway to the infirmary.
Okay, I'll look to Grace and see if she thinks she's freaking out. That's totally normal.
And she looks at you and she lets out a sigh. Oh, well, I guess we should go down there and figure this out then. Sure, there's some type of gang violence or anything like that. You know how it is, the piracy. And she kind of keeps mumbling to herself as she hobbles downstairs and starts walking towards the entrance.
Does she look like someone who's going to be good in a scrap, or should I tell her? Like, you know what I mean?
Oh, you are aware that that Grace has seen her fair share of brawls back.
Okay, I'll let her. I was gonna stop her, but yeah, that's totally fine. We'll go.
And she just hobbles down those stairs.
Yep.
As you descend the stairs, you see somewhat familiar faces. Actually, you see two what look like elven guards standing here. They look as if they're... Well, you recognize them, actually, because you were the only one that went to the building, the administrative building. And they're kind of standing there shouting at one of the attendants. And you very clearly can hear them saying, "Look, that thing made a pact and a promise to the councilwoman and to the council itself. We need him now." As the attendant is just kind of motioning them back, and he's like, "Well, I'm sorry, but I can't assist you unless they're upstairs working." And as you hear them say working, they kind of hear the top step creak as Grace steps on it, and she looks down and it's like, "What's all this about? What's happening down here?" And the guards turn up to her and basically look at her and then look past her to see you standing behind her, and says, your attendant is requested by the councilwoman. They made a pact yesterday to see that this defoliant be found, and we have a lead, actually."
Okay. I'll absolutely go, but you have to do something first.
One of them raises their proverbial eyebrow. You can't really tell, but like...
I'm gonna point to the attendant that they were harassing and say, apologize to her. Or whatever, like the employee who they were screaming at.
The human attendant kind of like looks at you and like kind of like shakes her head. It's like, it's not worth it.
Apologize to this frail woman, or I'm not going.
The two guards look at each other. You hear one of them kind of go, I apologize to you, madam. We are just very stressed, after all, considering how the vines are creeping in and our city's way of life is being threatened. We figured that this was... it warranted a bit of emotion.
Alright. There we go. Now we're all friends.
The other guard behind him kind of like snickers a bit. It's like, yep, definitely friends.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna look to Grace to see if she has anything to say to them or me before.
She's just kind of like has her fingers to her forehead and is just like, it's one thing after another. And she looks up and he says, "Well, you told me about this whole Soulbound thing, and while I need your help around here, if the city's well-being is at stake and it's going to put more people in here, then I think you're best served out there then."
And Frank, tell me if I'm wrong, but I believe the promise was like someone's either going to take financial care of this place or something.
Yes.
So I will explain that to Grace. I'll be like, yeah, remember, my half of this deal is you're going to be pretty well taken care of, lady.
She looks at me and was like, "I know, thank you. I appreciate. You know, you could have asked for something for yourself. You realize?"
And I'll think about it and be like, I don't really need much. And I'll like gesture towards the infirmary and be like, this is kind of all I need for now.
She looks up at you and she smiles and she says, "Well, that's good to hear, but you really need to get out." And she kind of like looks at you and says, "Find a life beyond this place."
I am And I'll look at my hands. Over 100 years old, so you might be right.
And she kind of smiles and chuckles a bit. She says, "Well, go on. We wouldn't want these two to get We wouldn't want these two to get roused again."
Yep. And I'll start heading out and wave goodbye. With Razor, of course. She's just following me, but yeah.
As you walk out and the door closes behind you, the two guards kind of flank either side of you, and they say, "There's been a disturbance down at the docks. And let's put it this way: we're going to have you all go out and investigate where the defoliant is made, but we've come to the realization that, well, in light of recent evidence, that the defoliant did leave harbor, or did leave its factory. In fact, we believe it's out at sea." As one of them chuckles and says, "Yes, out at sea. Sure, that's going to go well."
Do you mean pirates, or...
They look at you and they say, "I mean, you've been an Anvil Guard for how long? Of course it's pirates."
And I'll look
What
left
else
and
could
see
it
a
be?
pirate, and look right and see a pirate, and be like, yes, the pirate sounds about right.
And they say, "Well, the councilwoman has directed us to take you down to the harbor, so..."
Shouldn't we acquire my crew first, or is this a solo mission?
They look at you and they say, "We were under the impression you would have some way of contacting."
I think I know where they are, right, Frank? Like my character, like they know where we're staying.
I'm under the impression that you know at least where Shadel,
Yeah,
Goosh,
I'll explain that. At least part of my crew is staying at insert whatever place it was here. So let's go get some of them.
Right. Well, I guess we don't really go to the dwarven part of town. You kind of like see them as elves. Why would we? But do you know the way, or?
I think my character would. So yeah, I'll lead the way.
By all means. After probably about, give or take, 40-ish minutes of just traveling through a thick crowd, you manage to get there relatively unscathed and unmolested by beggars and the like. A number of times the guards make it perfectly clear that they're willing to use force against the various dregs of society that are biting at your heels. But you make it there. They turn to you and they point up this place, this building here.
Yeah, at least 2 people should be there. Let me go check inside.
We'll wait out here then. We wouldn't really want to be caught dead in there anyway. And they kind of just turn their back to the door and let you go about getting them.
Yep. I'll go up to the front desk and be like, "I'm looking for a dwarf who was followed by a tree man, who was followed by an ogre, who was followed by Alex. You're a human, right?"
Yeah, but I'm not there.
I know. I neither are they two, but
Yeah,
I don't know that.
It's only me and the ogre.
I don't. My character.
Yeah, you don't know that. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a human.
I'm just trying to explain it.
So I say that to the attendant.
Well, let's see here. He looks around. He's like, Durden. He kind of goes on, and he just points at all the various dwarves that are sitting in the tavern down here with ale in hand, and he says, "Have anything else to go off of?"
A Caradron would be a good one.
You would know that, yeah.
Yeah, sure. I'll drop that.
He says, yeah, one of them, eh? One came in last night with, you said it was an ogre? It looked like a very large man.
Like very large. And I'll gesture to a massive belly, very large.
He's like, he like removes his spectacles and like wipes them down and puts them back on. He's like, these old eyes don't see too well anymore. You'll have to forgive me. Hold on, let me go check the ledger. So he kind of like slides off his stool and walks off. And he comes back like 30 seconds later holding this big book and just puts it down, opens it up, starts like licking his finger, turning a page, licking his finger, turning a page, licking his finger, turning a page, and then he finally is like, yeah, right here. I'm Mr. Shadell, and he squints, a bagoosh?
Yeah, that's at least 2 of them.
No, that's all I have in ledger. He looks around. I think the big guy's out back in the garden eating.
Oh, Jesus Christ, and I'll sprint outside to make sure he's not, like, eating actual crazy things.
Yeah, you run into the back.
What is Bagoosh doing?
I'm eating.
Eating what?
I don't know what's back here.
They like blood sausage and the like. You know, like your typical... like
Typical
blood
Dwarven
sausage, meats of like dried meats, ales.
Just
They don't
cool.
really have... Everyone knows that a dwarven coffee is literally just an ale, so...
Okay, I will look relieved as I see that it's food that he's eating and be like, whew,
Just
and like
bring
slow
up sausage.
Yeah.
But it's of course hanging out of his mouth. You know,
And not for long.
sloppy.
So I'll go up to Bagoosh and be like, so, big man, how long you been eating?
I look up at the sky. How long has the sun been up?
I'll look up, I like watch him be like, I don't know, 5 hours? 4 hours? So 5 hours, and I'll clap my hands and be like, okay, where's the dwarf you were with?
I chew a little bit more.
You know the guy that stayed here with you, Bagoosh? You know, like the dwarf, the dude, like Dunedain, or the what is a dwarf in this world?
Duradin.
The Duradin you're with? It's gonna be so hard for me because I'm so used to saying Dunedain from our fucking campaign. The Duradin you were with, Bagoosh?
I just point back inside.
Okay. And I'll go try to find Shadell.
Shadell.
Yeah.
Where are you within this establishment?
I'm not shopping.
Alright.
I haven't left from the spot in 5 hours. I don't know what you want from me.
That was the plan, was I was gonna go shopping first thing to get supplies.
This is fine, actually. So, Loris, you walk out into the tavern proper, and you see a bunch of Duradin, all kind of looking puzzled at you. An elf man in a Duradin establishment, and they all kind of go back to drinking and having their breakfast and all that. The proprietor looks at you and is like, I have actually, you ran off before I could mention. I have right here that Shadell, he went out, actually. So he turned in his key and he went out.
Did he say when he was coming back?
He just said he grumbled about getting supplies or something. How the ogre's eating him out of house and home.
All right. Sounds about right. I'm going to go hang out with the ogre to make sure he doesn't eat the table. And I guess I'll just hang out until he shows back up again.
He's like, all right, well, if you need anything to drink or anything, let me know.
I'm good for now.
When you say I'm good for now, everyone kind of goes silently. Just like,
I would love one of those, and I'll point to whatever the closest dwarven ale is to make it to try and fit in.
And everyone goes back to talking again, and then he like nods. He says, "I'll have someone bring it out for you."
Okay, and then I'll go sit down at the table. And Frank, you can cut the shade. I gotta be right back like a minute.
Yep, that's the plan. All right, Shade.
All right. So, basically, from what I've read, I can buy anything that's common or rare while out on this thing. That's, okay. All right. So I have, since I already said beforehand that I got all the party's drops in hand, so I have 393 drops. Assuming Bagoosh doesn't have any. That is my assumption. Is that correct? Is Ollie there?
Why would I be able to pay for the food I'm eating?
I don't know. It's part of your character creation. Did you have any drops left, or did you use it all?
Let me look. I think I might have.
If you did, I need to increase the number.
Did you steal mine too?
Yeah. I asked beforehand. You said yeah.
I don't remember that, but sure. Should I just switch mine to 0?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see what I have left. I think
Well,
you only had 18,
I have
right?
18.
Or
Yeah,
10
if
or
you,
something.
I'll
Yeah.
just put it to 0. If you convince me, like, hey, you're immortal now, you owe me 18 drops. I'm like, all right, that's valid.
Yeah, I
Well,
don't think I have any.
Okay, that's
So
fine.
mine's 0 now.
Oh well,
Most of it-
okay, that's
look,
valid.
Look, Sturdy Bark is covering is kind of carrying the low with 280. Everybody else is pretty low. All right.
I also have no use for money, so
True.
Yeah,
True.
What does
If you
Sturdy
buy
Bark
me,
need with
if you buy me
cash?
some fresh bread in the morning, I'm
So-
golden.
Let me see. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is buy some rations so our ogre doesn't eat us. So that's going to be necessary.
I was like, what's the rest of that sentence? I was like, no, that is the sentence.
So that's minus. Oh, sorry. It's minus 7.5. Wait, how the fuck are we going to do 1/2?
If I get hungry, it will happen.
Round down.
Let me just total the amount and then see if it'll have
Sure.
evenly. So 3. Okay, so 15. Then I'm gonna buy an apothecary satchel because that's the only way to use the medic talent, and we're probably gonna need that at some point. Okay, now here's where there's got to be a roll. There's apparently a map store in Ambleguard.
Yep.
And I remember there was some kind of rolling function to it, but I wanted to buy a map. I gotta find it now.
Let me
Okay,
see.
this is called a reliable map. It's on page 33 of the Shadows in the Mist. Apparently I roll a 1d6, and then the result is based on
Yep.
that. So, let's do it. Pray for luck, people. Actually, wait. I just do roll d6?
Yeah, do / roll 1d6.
Okay.
So here, do
Well, that's a wildly inaccurate map.
Alright, well, that's
Well, no,
fucking
he
useless
just rolled,
ass
no,
map.
no, no, he rolled 1d. You forgot
Oh, wait,
the
what?
d6.
Oh!
So I was gonna
I
roll
did-
1 no matter what. So write whatever.
Oh, okay, well, that's fortunate. Okay, that's not too bad.
You rolled a
Yeah,
1
that's
on
a
the one side
highlighted
of that
shortcut.
first.
Okay, cool.
Alright, so we have a map with a highlighted shortcut. So it takes us
1d6 less days to reach
1d6
a
less.
target location.
Okay, nice. And I assume this is going to be. I don't know where in the sea this is, but
Just
so
you're aware, I have
so-
this. We don't need a map.
Hmm?
This
What do
is
you-
within the city, though.
yeah, that's within the city. We're going outside the city, aren't
If
we?
you go outside the city, the
Oh,
map is going
gotcha,
to be
gotcha.
useful.
Okay.
So I guess I
Which-
would just say this is of the bay outside the city, which is where I think
It
we're
is
going.
anything that's listed beyond the walls, which is not including the bay, because a map of
Oh.
the bay, but it will not include the bay,
Okay.
but it will include everything else in the surrounding area. So
Okay,
it's
let
still
me,
very worth having, because the odds are you will probably have to leave city. You will probably be somewhere besides the.
Okay, then let me pick a place, I guess. Just randomly, because I don't really know where we would be going. Do I have to pick a place now? I imagine I do, right?
Let me see.
It would probably be wherever your character thought the defoliant issues would be.
So you can pick the following. You can pick. So if you go to page 34,
Mhm.
You can pick any of the spots listed
Yeah, I see.
below that. So you
I
can
see a
pick
list. Okay.
any of that.
Okay.
That's gonna be what the map is of, or whether the shortcut.
It's
is
going
to.
to be a shortcut to that area.
Gotcha.
Okay, hold on.
So
think-
of note, things that are worthwhile would be like Crucible of Life was brought
I was
up.
gonna say the Crucible of Life.
Yeah,
It's
I
the
would
first
say
one
like
was
Crucible of
thinking
Life was one thing that was brought up. I think that was really the only thing that was brought up.
Okay.
I guess
Yeah,
you could do the Searing Sea, but I know. I guess the Searing Sea is covered in this if you wanted to do that, but it's not really a. For all intents and purposes, there's. No, I guess the Searing Sea could work. Yeah, you choose the Searing Sea.
Okay,
if you want.
let's do the Searing Sea then. If it's. Yeah, let's do that then. Okay.
Sure.
So we have a map that's actually useful, which is a surprise. a welcome one. And then, so that brings me to, that's plus 95. And then I'm gonna buy, let's see. I'm gonna buy Watchman's goggles, which are a common item, and they make it so you can see through obscured. And I'm gonna give those to Joe, I think. That's what I'm gonna end up doing.
See through obscured?
Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting. That is
And
extremely
then-
good for me because I see through dark, and combining those two is hella good.
Yep. Yep. And then, let's see, that's divided by 2.
What do you say that was called? So I can put it
Okay, so. It's called Watchman's goggles.
down. Sweet.
Last thing I'm gonna buy is a rare item called the. Let me make sure this is what I'm gonna buy, because I think it is. Where is this fucking thing? Holy shit, I had to find this item. I wrote it down in this notes in my character sheet, but I don't actually remember what it does.
What's it called?
It's called Shadow Shroud. Wait, is this in the Champions of Death?
It might be in the
Might be in Champions of Death, one moment.
yeah.
I think it is.
So that sounds like a Nightmare Shroud, which I imagine is going to be somewhat, or I imagine this is a more non-undead friendly version of a Nightmare Shroud.
I can't find it, dude. I wish these things loaded a little faster, you know?
Fucking PDFs.
Yeah, fucking PDFs.
Do you want to just look it
Shit.
up while we're doing someone else's scene?
Yeah.
That's all we get.
Yeah, let's just go ahead and do that. Either way, that is 15, 90, 95, 140, 240, divided by 2. So that's 290, so we have 3 drops left.
Oh, perfect.
Alright,
Well, at least you got rations.
I got my food, and I completed a short-term goal by getting a fucking apothecary kit, so.
Alright. Mark that down.
Yeah.
Let's do you, Joe. I've got plans for you, Sturdy Bark.
All right.
Alright, so let's do you first, Joe. You wake up in your hole in the wall. What do you do?
Wake up, sort of rub the wounds from the 2 days ago. I fumble through my backpack and grab the medicine that I was instructed to take today, the last of the medicine, and I down that. I go look in my one kind of cupboard desk combo thing and pull out whatever remaining food I have in there, kind of scarf that down, and drink whatever drink I have. Kind of do a quick stretch, check all my gear, make sure my bow's in order, make sure I have enough arrows, and then kind of remember that I'm immortal now, and look around and shrug and start heading out towards the Dwarven district.
Okay. As you're walking to the Dwarven district, you hear a lot of people just murmuring about this disaster that struck the harbor and how there's metal scraps just washing ashore, and that the Lord Castellan has just cordoned off the area and no one's allowed down by the harbor. You are going to need to actually help me here, Alex, because I didn't write this down, and I feel like you did. What was the name of the squire?
Yeah, so that would be...
I didn't write her name down.
Go with the M, I think.
I thought it was the C.
Shit, maybe not.
Oh my god.
Squire Serretus. Serritus.
Okay.
Squire to the Lord Castellan.
Well, now I gotta make sure I write that down because she's a reoccurring character. As you are walking towards the Dwarven district and you start hearing all these people murmuring
I'm gonna
about...
slow down and really try to,
Sure.
like Assassin's Creed, blend in with the crowd, use my advantage tray as needed to like try to eavesdrop in on as many of the interesting conversations as possible, but not really like stopping for a
Sure,
while.
sure. So in passing, you hear, you basically hear what you heard prior. You hear that there's a bunch of like metal scraps that are washing ashore. The Lord Castellan cordoned off the area, and no one's allowed over. You hear that some of the markings on the metal, like the metal scraps, match that of Duridan design. And they look like Duridan runes and such. And then you also hear someone make a comment saying that that while it was that they saw some group of individuals going past the blocked off area of the harbor, and it looked to be a bunch of they say that it looked like the Coil were walking over there. And you, as a member of, or as a denizen of Anvilgard, know the Coil to be short for one of the various gangs, one of the more influential gangs around the city. They essentially run the underground.
Mm-hmm.
And you hear that someone was saying, I heard the members of the Coil were sneaking under the ropes and heading over to the harbor to take a look. Wonder what that's about. I wonder if the Lord Castellan's in on it. And someone else kind of like bumps them and says, Lord Castellan? No. He's been trying to root them out for years, but can't imagine how he's been failing to root them out if they're walking freely in the streets. And one of them kind of like shuts up as you kind of see a looming shadow come up behind you. And everyone still kind of like puts into like starts shifting into a murmur. And right as you're about to like turn around to check out the shadow, you just hear or you feel a hand on your shoulder, and then you turn around to see the Squire. And she looks at you and she says, "Hello, Joe." And she stands to the salute and gives you a salute, and she says, "I've been asked to come get you by." She holds up a scroll. Councilwoman holds up the scroll again. Kassan.
Well, Serretus all to myself. How lovely. I'm honored. Sure. Lead the way.
She said, she looks down. I don't know how to get there. She said to go
me.
to.
No, just it's fine. Follow me.
She hands you the letter, and you can see on the letter it said, "Bring them," just underlined, to the tree.
Oh.
And then Soraya kind of looks at it and is like, I don't know how to get to the tree from here.
You really? All right. Look, you've got to stop paying more attention. Come right this way. Look, just look up there. It's just fine. I mean, through the mist, but it's fine.
And then she looks at you as you start walking away, and then she says, I'm supposed to bring them, as she like draws a line in the air.
As in,
I think I'm supposed to get all of you. I don't know where the rest of you are. I figured you'd be together.
Yeah, that's where I was headed. Come on. They should be over at one of these taverns.
She kind of like salutes you, and then she like puffs out her chest and starts walking behind you in like a very like soldiery type of way.
I'll just sort of chuckle and kind of start jogging a bit.
She kind of like tries to keep up pace,
Okay.
but man, that armor's heavy.
I'll make sure she doesn't fall behind, but I'll keep an
She's
eye
like
out.
8 feet tall. She can probably see over the crowd.
I'll keep an eye out for Shadel and Bagoosh while looking for. I assume I know exactly where they're at because I assume I walked them there yesterday.
Yeah.
Cool.
And
I guess I'll say. So any news on this issues down at the docks? It's quite the stir, quite the hubbub.
Oh, she like upon hearing that she like looks around and then she like leans down. She says, "The Lord Castellan said not to talk about it, otherwise people might get scared."
Oh, it's a bit late for that.
She looks around. She's like, "I guess that's true. Yeah." Oh, a ship wrecked. I think it was a Kerdran ship. It had to have been. It's got the dwarven runes on it, so it's got Durridin runes on it. So it had to have been a Kerdran ship. The other ones don't really sail metal ships like that, especially out here.
Checks out. That's actually what that our new friend, that dwarf Shadel, was looking for, a lost ship. So it's unfortunate to hear that it did in fact sink, but that's a lead. That's the best lead. So yeah, we should probably hurry. Come on, keep up. I'll smile and speed up.
She kind of like gets into like a power walk, into like a nice stride. After it really wouldn't take you that long considering your knowledge of the city. Although I guess you'd be slowed down quite a bit because you have this heavily armored individual.
Yeah,
following.
I would probably pick the ways that I know nobody's gonna hassle us or like, oh, excuse me, we're in the way. Like, I'm gonna make sure that it's the fast way for her.
They give you a pretty wide berth.
Okay, cool.
With her here, it's not that people don't approach Stormcast. It's that people know that when they're around, like, business is going down.
Sure.
Like, you don't want to get in their way. So as you're making your way down towards this inn that you led them to last night, Shadel, you were also heading back, right? You weren't going anywhere. You were just going straight back. Yeah.
And I found the items. That will also be going to Joe. So
I thought this was the specific to the class item. Like
no, the talent is. You can't use the talent. I shouldn't have posted that. But you'll use the defense while you're in shadow is one step higher.
Where'd you post it? In
flavor-wise,
Warhammer.
It's you're super sneaky, but mechanics-wise, it's extra defense.
Yeah, mechanics.
Sure. So you get the Shadow Shroud, which gives you access to Shadow Leap from the King Knight Shadow Stalker.
But my defense.
I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can get the talent or not.
Yeah,
like
Frank,
this
shadow.
item is like my. The talent hook is my weapon for my class. This class's iconic item.
Additionally, the Shadow Shroud counts as viable shadow. Okay. So you can't actually use the Shadow Leap, but it counts as having like you being enveloped in shadow. Okay.
Right.
Oh.
All right. Sure. That works.
I figure. I mean, it's either that or I could swap it out for a different item. Either way, it's going to cost the same.
So
would we rather give you this or give Bagoosh one armor? That's the question.
Is it consistently one armor all the time? Because this is only in shadow.
Yeah, this is defense though.
That's true. Defense is really good.
It's also one step, so think of it as having like 2 body if you're at that breakpoint.
You're moving a step up on the ladder, is what he's saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of shadows in this place, so I'll take it.
I figured there's going to be a lot of shadows, that's why I went with that one, but
yeah.
We'll find out later if that was a bad choice.
Alright, sounds good. So, Joe, as you are walking back to this inn, Seretis in tow, you make out a familiar figure, a squattish Durden figure, walking in the same direction as you. Pretty easy to spot, considering the armor he's wearing. And you realize that Shada went out shopping, and he's, as he said the previous evening, and is heading back as well.
So I'll walk up to Shadell and say, "Oh, good to see you. Did your shopping go well, or have you not finished yet?"
I say, there you are. Yeah, I got these for you. And I just shove them at her.
What's all? Oh, goggles and a cloak. I have a cloak.
It's better than yours. Wear it.
Oh, do I know what this is, Frank?
Probably not.
Okay.
Yeah, probably not.
Probably not, actually.
This is nice. And I'll like bundle up my cloak, shove it in my bag, and put
the,
this on.
the dark elves at the fucking... Are they still at the tavern? They might know what it is.
They said that they would wait there, they wouldn't go inside, so they're in for a surprise.
I'll try on the goggles and look through the mist. You got all this for 18 drops.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, I think throwing my lot in with you was pretty good. I don't think I got any of this for. Wow. Cool. What'd you get for everyone else?
Some food.
It's Bagoosh's favorite, so that's good buy.
Nah, I got a food, basically a med pack, and a map.
Could use that. Healing seems good. I finished off last of my medicine this morning, so yeah. If I get into another scuffle with you all, it's good. Now you're a medic of sorts.
Yeah, the kind of treatment I'll be doing is if you're on death's door. Let's hope we don't get there.
All right. Good to know. Well, I think the other one is works in the infirmary, but I don't. He's more of an assistant. I'm curious to see what he can do on his own in terms of healing, but we'll find out.
I think he's got some weird elf magic or something.
Works for me. Happy to have. This is an interesting team you've sort of assembled. Did you start it? You and Bagoosh, or was it you and Sturdy Bark?
Well, Sturdy Bark went and found me,
Mm-hmm.
and we had a similar goal in mind. So then we started.
And then you found Bagoosh.
And then Bagoosh was just kind of on. He was just kind of around.
All right.
And we thought, why not?
All right. How many more are we aiming for? Is this like a band, a company, an army, or is this?
This is probably it for now, but you never know what the future holds.
All right.
If we get a city going, we'll need a lot more people.
All right. Well, Seretis is supposed to bring us to the councilwoman, was it?
She nods vigorously.
All right. So I guess let's grab Bagoosh and go find our friend.
Yeah, we'll have to go swing by the spire.
You all continue on, and you make it back to the inn. You two notice that there are two pretty well-armed, pretty well-to-do guards standing outside this inn. Shadel, you don't remember these two being here.
There's some suspicious dark elves. They were not here before. I wonder why they're here.
They see you all. Kind of hard not to. They see Squire Seretis standing behind you. And upon seeing her, they kind of look at her face and then just pan downwards and then see Joe, and they pan downwards some more and they see Shadel. And they both just kind of like let out a sigh, walk forward, and then say, Have you been out here rather than in there this entire time?
I was in there earlier. I'd gone for a shop.
And then they look over at Joe. Do you live do you live somewhere that isn't here?
Of course.
And then they look over at Soretis, and they say, "Were you also sent to get them?" And then she nods and is like, "Yes, and I found them." And then they look at her.
To interject, are you telling me that you elves know less about the city and Joe than this bucket of bullets?
They look around and say, "We don't frequent this district. Why would we come here?"
I think I would say something like, isn't Joe a mainstay mercenary in the docks and other areas? Isn't that an area you would frequent?
I mean, I'm not like I imagine I'm not like famous. I'm more just.
I would imagine you are.
We're not on first name basis with her.
Okay.
We don't know. Look, they look at you like, an urchin's an urchin. Let's get on with this. We gotta get going.
All right.
And then
they say, they look at you and they kind of like disregard that comment. They say, the other one went in to go get the ogre. I assume he's still in there because they would probably have seen him come out.
All right, let's go get him.
And then they say, "Where's the tree?"
He's at the Spire Root with Redleaf.
We're going to go grab him after this.
Okay, well, we'll wait out here.
Should I go rush off and grab him while you grab Bagoosh?
Ceritus like looks at you and taps the note and says, "Meet at the tree."
Oh, then never mind. Easy enough.
Yeah, that's fine.
You go in the tavern. It is a merry time in here. It is a bright 10 a.m. Everyone's drunk. You can tell that everyone's just having a blast. The proprietor is kind of like singing with a mug in hand, and he's like kind of swaying back and forth on his stool. When you walk in, Joe, everyone cheers. When you walk in, Shadel, everyone cheers. Then Ceritus kind of like ducks down and then like steps through the door and then stands up again. And they kind of like stop cheering and they're like, they're like,
no, keep to your cups. It's a good time. Still,
and then some guy in the back's like, "Are we under arrest or something? Why is she here?"
No worries. Just enjoy your drinks.
Then like some dirt in the back, and is like, "All right." As he like picks up his like loot and he just starts going again. And the proprietor like flags you down. He's like, "They're in the back in the garden. He's been eating. He's been eating the entire time."
From my understanding, that's what he does.
It's a growing boy.
They never stop growing, do they?
All right, well, I don't want to say this, but I can't feed him anymore and feed everyone else. You guys gotta get out of here.
Don't worry, we're heading out the door.
All right, well,
a problem.
He's eaten me through a week and a half worth of meals.
I mean, it's probably we probably paid for room and board, right?
Wait, the only one that can move him is Sturdy Bark. What are we gonna fucking do?
Ceritus is here.
Okay, time for another might check, I guess.
Well, I think if he runs out of food, then it's time to go. Find more food.
We can just tell him food is over there.
Yes, we're going to the ocean to eat fish. That's what we're gonna tell.
Just tell him there's food over there.
So he kind of like motions you into the back garden. And back there you see Loris kind of just... What are you doing back here? Are you like awkwardly standing? Are you like trying to chat? Like what are you doing back here?
I probably in the beginning tried to hold a conversation with Bagoosh and then realized he is a very simple man who loves food and just gave up, and I'm just watching him eat everything and like watch people walk by.
I'm just humming to myself.
I like to imagine you're like talking about the various flavors that you're experiencing.
No, there's no time for talking. You're only
just there's too many thoughts coming at once. It's just
Well, you all walk in the back and you see your two compatriots just kind of, one of them's eating, the other one almost seems bored, like very, very bored.
All right.
Oh my god! Thank God you're here.
We wave him over.
Lars, something you're already here. It saves us some time.
Yeah, where is the tree man?
He's at the spire.
Oh,
Remember, he was hanging out with his buddy.
right, sleepover. I'll look at Bagoosh and be like, you have to kind of convince him to come. He doesn't really want to move from that spot.
I just look over at everyone.
He heard me, but I don't think he processed what I said. But
As
you
I
have to
chew.
convince him to move.
Bagoosh,
Hey, Joe, you're good with words.
Convince him.
Bagoosh, grab your food. We're going for a walk. We're heading to go pick up sturdy bark. Can walk and eat.
I just kind of shrug and stand up with my plate
No,
and follow after.
just leave them the plate, but take the food.
Shove it in your
I give
bag.
a confused look as I just kind of dump all the food into my hand.
The plate is the food.
Perfect. All right, come on, quick.
Yeah, as you're walking out, Squire Sororitas kind of like looks at all the food in Bagoosh's hands and is like, I'm kind of hungry. And she kind of like looks at you and is like, can I have some of that?
Bad move, lady.
I just cut her off and say, don't.
Is he a bit selfish with this food, or?
It's an ogre.
I
Think
What do you
like-
think?
First one
Think
I've
like
got.
a hungry, starving feral animal, and if you tried to take its bone or take its meat.
Right. Okay.
I just look at you and say, "This is a religious experience."
She like looks at you and is like, I wish Sigmar would make that a religious experience for us. And she looks sad as she walks away without any food.
You should know better than to hope Sigmar does anything fun.
Oh god, what the fuck is the Maw's name in AOS? I cannot remember for the life of me.
Gorkamork.
Yes,
Oh,
I
is
know it.
Gorkamork?
I know it's Gorka Morka, but what the fuck is the ogre version of it
I don't
called?
remember, man.
So let me find it. I gotta remember. Because I can't call it the Maw because it's not the right word.
The Great Belly.
There's another one.
So you all start walking towards the tree.
The Gulping God.
That's it, the Gulping God. That's the one I'm looking for.
The big gulp god.
You all start walking towards the tree.
Big sip.
In an effort to like expedite it, we're gonna say you guys get there.
Yeah.
You're meandering through town. You're wading through the people. You still hear the general basic rumors that you were hearing before, Joe, and this time the rest of you can also hear them.
I'll share all the info I have so far with the squad while we're walking.
Alright.
The two elven guards that are with you, kind of, they're kind of like backing away from various like urchins and various those who aren't like well-to-do or down on their luck, and they're kind of like very hoity-toity about it. They don't want to really be approached, and they make this blatantly clear. And then eventually you get to the spire, and upon getting to the spire, the two elves kind of say, well, that's where we were told to bring you, so good luck out there. Hope you can find the defoliant. And one of them takes a piece of paper and says, remember what's on the line. If you get this done, you get paid. Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Take care, everyone. Goodbye, as they leave.
Goodbye.
Yep.
Bye.
Ooh, paid.
As you're standing at the spire, the vines, like, come down again, as they did the other day, and they kind of, like, circle up, and they pull you guys up to the spire. And up here, you're greeted once again by these various branch witches. And you see, towards the center of the spire, red leaf, sturdy bark, and once again, you see Councilwoman Kassan here. As well as what looks like just a dark elven man standing next to her. And she looks like she's pacing back and forth, tapping her foot. She seems very, very stressed. Upon all of you getting to the top of the spire, the branch witches start to, like, rustle a bit. And they like, all of them in a line start rustling, and the very loud noise after all of them are together doing this. And then Redleaf kind of, like, looks up as the rest of them can see you and notice the commotion. Upon hearing or seeing Redleaf move, Councilwoman Kassan breaks herself out of her own paces and looks up and says, "Oh, thank gosh. Okay, we have an update," as she clasps her hands together and walks very quickly towards you. Storybark, you're here too, I imagine.
I'm here.
Sturdy bark.
Standing there.
I imagine you're standing with Redleaf.
Yes, yes.
But Kassan walks quickly away from Redleaf over to the group that just came up. Kind of like looks at Squire Ceratus and says, "Thank you, Squire. Go give my regards to the Lord, to Lord Castellan." And Ceratus kind of like says, "Oh, yes, of course, right away," as she salutes, and then she walks over to the edge, and then she looks down, and she's like, "How am I supposed to get down from here?" And the vines don't come get her. So he just kind of stands there awkwardly looking down. With that, Kassan starts walking you all towards the center of the spire and says, "Okay, so, news from the Morning Tides tells us
that there was a shipwreck with Durden markings on it."
She kind of like turns around. She seems very almost cross with you. The dark elven man in the background like lets out a chuckle, and he looks at her and he says, "Well, Kassan, you appear to be one step behind these good folk. It's a good thing you picked them. If you were going on this journey, it probably wouldn't be all too fruitful for the city, eh?" And Kassan turns around and just stares daggers at him, and then like slumps over a bit and says, "Right, well, that's why I asked them to do it then, wouldn't it? After all, it was my decision, so that means that I made the right call. Wouldn't you say so, Theriel?" And Theriel like chuckles like, if you say so. Kassan looks at the rest of you and says, "Yes, what Joe mentioned is true. There seems like there's a shipwreck out at sea somewhere, and it's it's scrap and washing aboard, or washing ashore. The one thing that came to know that we noticed here was, she holds out a piece of metal, and on it you can see the various Durden markings and insignias, and she kind of like holds it down to shade out and points at it and says, "This seems to be chemist markings, so this leads us to believe that this is probably from that missing ship, the Kerjan ship that was making this delivery. The Foliant, can you attest to that?"
I'll take a look at it. I'd seen some missives while I was in Chiman, going over the mission.
This looks right to you.
And I say, this is the ship I'm looking for.
And her eyes kind of like light up, and she says, "This is excellent. This is very good. Okay. Good news. Along with the shipwreck, or along with the washed up debris, we have a relatively unharmed, it's a little beaten and battered, barrel of defolium. So we'll be good for a little bit. That's the good news. The bad news is there should be magnitudes more of the stuff somewhere out in the shipwreck. And your job is to go get that now." As she says that, she looks at she looks back at the dark elf and says, "This here will be your proverbial guide, your master of the sea. He kind of like steps forward and pushes her aside. And says, "Your captain of your captain of your journey," I think is what I would prefer to go with. He kind of extends his hand and like does like a very like not so much a low bow, but a nice like flamboyant bow. He says, "Therial Cultus, at your service. Captain of the Blackfin," as he kind of like bows a bit and offers his hand out to anyone who will accept it.
I'll
accept it.
accept and introduce myself.
Same.
I would shake his hand as well, though he has to lean down further.
He looks up and he says, "Yes, as I said, I'll be your captain for in the coming days. The councilwoman and I have, well, you could say we're old friends. I do a favor for her, she does a favor for me, and looks like I'm on the I'm on the gifting end here, so I guess it's my favor this time. Well, I count the four of you," and he looks over and he says, "I've already met your tree friend here." He's not. He leans in and he puts a hand to his mouth. He's like, "Not a talkative one, that one. Let me just say."
You haven't heard him sing yet.
He like looks up. He's like, "Oh, he sings." He looks up and he says, "You didn't tell me you could sing."
I'll just look at him.
Have you ever heard Sylvanet's songs?
He looks down. He's like, "Can't say I have." He looks around. He's like, "Can't say I've really been up on the spire for more than 5 minutes because, well, generally they don't take too kindly to my lot here."
Yeah, they can be pretty horrifying.
It's fine. It's fine.
I meant the songs.
Oh, I thought you were referring to them.
No, they're lovely. The branch witches just want to kill you.
Right. I see.
I see.
Any of you, Alex? It would only be you, actually. Yeah, actually. How long have you been in Anvilgard?
My entire life.
Loris? No, Loris.
Basically, ever since what age would I be allowed to go do shit? Ever since that, so a very long time, but because I'm like 125 or 150.
Okay, you both can make this test. Give me a DN 5-2 mind.
Just mind?
5-2 mind?
Yep. Mind lore if you have it, or mind.
I don't think anyone has any lore.
DN 5. Sounds good. I can't pass.
Oh, yeah, DN? So that means you have to make a 5.
5-2, yeah.
Well,
DN 5, and you got to get 2 successes. So I look at Joe and I'm like, I have no clue.
Just drool a bit.
So you see him just kind of talking and chatting up with the lot of you. And any of you who can and want to, you may make a DN 5-1 soul intuition or mind guile.
Soul intuition? Oh, hell yeah. I thought you said DN 5-2?
5-1.
5-1.
5-1.
Just drool a little bit.
No!
How do you have a... Oh, I'm done.
5-1.
One
So you need one
success,
success.
yeah.
Damn, 5.
So Shadel gets it.
Bad success.
So, Shadel, as you can see Therial attempting to, like, woo and brag about his various exploits, kind of holding up this scaled scarf that he has, or the scaled cloak that he has, and remarking on the various colorations on it and this like scar that's on it. You can tell that Councilwoman Kassan is kind of like they're keeping a very close eye on Therion. It's almost like, not so much like rolling her eyes, but very much like you can kind of tell she's not really trusting of this guy, and that she's not really like, while he said they kind of do favors for each other, it's a very clear that this is a not really a friendship, but much more of a you scratch my back, I scratch yours relationship.
Gotcha. He's a Corsair, and she has no ability to send a force out at sea, is basically the situation, isn't it?
You are picking up what I'm putting down.
Yeah.
So, Theriel looks out at the rest of you and says, okay, so the good councilman here wants me to take you on my boat. Here's the plan. How about this? The 5 of you, how many, raise your hands, how many of you have ever sailed on the Searing Sea before? He raises his hand.
I'm assuming I have once in my life to get here at least, but I don't actually know outside of that.
Yeah, I mean, more than likely you probably have. And
I feel
Joe,
like
you've probably been out there.
I
Yeah,
point
feel
out
like
that
I've
I have
tried to
a
hide on
very...
some ships.
Oh,
and
yeah.
hunt people down.
I point out that I have a very nice map for the Searing Sea.
He looks at you and he says, might be handy, looks at the 2 of you, Loris and Joe, and he's like, but have you ever sailed on it, or were you only a traveler on it?
What was it?
I was a traveler.
I was traveler or stowaway, depending on the trip.
And then he holds up his hand to his lips. He says, "Shush! I'm talking. Captain's talking." You'll be wise to note that when I do that, shush. That means everyone needs to be quiet, because if you're a traveler, that means you're not a sailor. Which means when you're on my vessel, you will do everything I tell you to do, much like my crew would. Are we under agreement here?
Yeah, I just have one question. Are we expected to meet some sort of resistance out here, or is it just a smooth sailing kind of thing?
He looks at you and he laughs a bit. He's like, yes, actually. That's probably... He looks over the councilman and says, she really didn't explain much about Anvilgard, did she?
No.
Well, to the 2 of you, you more than likely know about the horrors that lurk on the streets. And to the rest of you, this entire town is run by various gangs, though the Lord Castellan would refuse to admit it. And though the councilwoman will refuse to admit it as well, a number of her compatriots on the council are more than likely on retainer for those various gangs, and thus make it difficult for us nice law-abiding and entrepreneurs, much like I imagine, points down at Shade Al-Him, to do much business here. I myself am not one of those. In case it wasn't completely obvious by my dapper good looks and my great sense of fashion, I tend to be out on the sea most often, and, well, also at the local taverns, and also the local brothels, and he kind of keeps trailing off. But anyway, it's not really a well-to-do town, so my crew is going to be primarily preoccupied with manning the vessel and making sure that we don't sink. That's where the 5 of you will come in. If we're going to take on this journey, the 5 of you are going to be, I would say, hired muscle, but I'm not paying you, so you're going to be my muscle. Does that make sense to all of you?
In exchange for passage, I think that's fine.
I will nod.
I'll nod and twirl an arrow in my hand and jump back and quiver.
Excellent, excellent. So, it seems, points at Joe, it seems that you have some idea on what was going on out here, considering how you came right up and told the councilwoman her business. He kind of like gives you a golf clap. Well done, by the way. But I don't think you all know really what's going on out there. Seeing as how I just came back from a tour of running some perfectly legitimate goods back and forth on the sea, and the councilman kind of steps in and is like, please, Theriel, get on with it. Just tell them the problems out there. I have to get back to the council chamber. I trust the 5 of you will work with Theriel and be able to hopefully find my defoliant.
I did have one more thought for you, if you do have paper this time, if not, maybe later. If we ever do run into trouble with the local guard or someone, might be good for us to have a note saying we're working for you, perhaps? Any sort of sigil or just a note?
She lets out a chuckle. If you run in with the Stormcast, if you run in with the Lord Castellan's troops, a note won't do you any good. If you run in with the various, she holds up her hands and gives you air quotes, guards of the city, my note won't do you any good considering how I don't employ any of them. So, I hate to say it, as she points over to the Squire Saradis, who's still leaning over the side trying to figure out how to get down. If you're on a good rapport with her, I suggest you make sure she's abundantly aware of what you're doing so that she can vouch for you. Because she, brushes her hair back. It might seem like I have a lot of control in this city, being a councilwoman, but I have painfully little control here. As I'm reminded every day, since I apparently am the only person in the city that wants to actually do things the legal way. Besides those jackbooted Stormcast who go around punishing anyone for jaywalking. And then she kind of, calms down a bit. I'm sorry, I am extremely stressed today. I'm just trying to make sure that the forest doesn't encroach in and strangle our buildings.
I'm gonna
also break our wall downs. Also,
I'm gonna walk up to her, just give her a warm smile and pat her on the shoulder and just nod, and then kind of take some steps back.
The councilwoman starts to leave, and she turns to Theriel and she says, Theriel, you are not to omit any details on what's going on out on that sea. The Lord Castellan might, the Lord Castellan might ask of us to not talk about that, but you and I both know your lips will not stay sealed, so you have my permission to talk about it. As she walks over to the end of the spire, looks over at Saratis and says, "It's like this, dear," as she pulls up a root and it just kind of wraps around her and then lowers her. And Saratis lets out a oh, as she grabs the same root, or grabs a root next to it, and then 4 roots come up to try and grab her, and then a 5th one, and then it finally lifts her and just lowers her. Theriel looks at us right, where was I?
You're going to tell us about what's on the sea? What's really out there?
Yes. The reason why you 5 are here and I'm not going out alone is because, how do I put this?
Is it pirates or monsters?
He runs over to the edge, looks down to see that the squire is now on the ground, runs back over to all of you. There are Nurgle ships out at sea.
Oh, great.
Frank, does my character think that is extraordinarily rare or normal?
In all of your time at Anvilgard, you have never once heard of any Nurgle ships being anywhere near this city.
Do we know what Nurgle are?
I mean, Nurgle is the god of pestilence.
You
chaos.
are all aware of what Nurgle is.
Okay.
I say, well, it makes sense. We're basically looking for poison. I'm sure he's interested in it.
Theriel looks at you and snaps his fingers, points to you, he's bingo. And then he looks back and he says, "That's not it. That's not all, though. Some of you might be aware," and he points to Joe and Loris, "that there is an island out in the sea that, there are a bunch of blister skin that live on."
Fuck?
He kind of waits for a response. He says, "Blister skin. You know, ghouls?"
Oh, yeah, there's an
boy.
island of ghouls. Yeah.
Great.
They're Golvarian blister skins. They don't usually leave that island, and we leave them there because let's be honest, it'd be a pain to dislodge them. But recently it would appear that some ships shipwrecked on that island, and well, they managed to repair some of them.
So you're saying we could have a pack of insane undead that might attack
He holds up his hand. Not undead. Only some of them are undead, but a lot of them are like you and I, except horribly disfigured and not nearly as beautiful. Actually, just me, not you and I. Just me. Look, it's getting more and more dangerous to sail out there without some hired muscle. And he looks over at Gaboosh and he looks up at Sturdy Bark and he's like, and let me just say, you all look like the hired muscle I need right now. So, let's get on over to my ship. We have passage to the harbor. The Lord Castellan shouldn't interfere. I am, after all, a law-abiding citizen and working for the council, so we should be able to get through no problem. And let's get out to sea, find this defoliant, find this wrecked ship, and get back here as soon as possible so that we don't have to deal with any of that insanity that's out there. I for one, would like to return here with as few pocks as possible and with all my limbs attached. So, does that sound good for the rest of you?
That sounds good.
Sure, sounds good.
Yeah, where's your ship docked?
Oh, he walks over to one side of the spire and points down. He's like, right down there. You could actually see it. I guess I'll get
that what's in the handout?
Oh, that's the layout, yeah.
The
I remember
black
the name
thing,
of
okay.
the port. Bleakscale Harbor, isn't it? Bleakscale?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like a looks like bang.
Ah, okay.
So he looks around, he's like, that's where we'll be. So, if you wouldn't mind, I'm going to go on ahead. I'm going to get everything ready to sail so that when you get aboard, we can lift anchor and go. Anyway, he looks up at Red Leaf, he's like, it has been a pleasure spending time with you and your bushes, as he kind of sees himself off and gives a bit of a salute.
See you soon.
See you on the water.
What'd you say, Alex?
I should see you soon.
And he goes over and he just gets himself lowered down as well. Now you're all here with Redleaf and a bunch of branch witches, and everything is painfully quiet.
You know, ghoul meat is actually very lean.
You've eaten ghoul meat before?
Oh yeah.
Then you didn't become infected or sick or throw up or anything?
I had a bit of gas.
Are you sure you didn't just find garbage in the trash can and assume it was ghoul meat?
No, they was definitely ghouls.
Uh-huh.
Well, how do you fight ghouls?
I gotta thump them.
Thump them.
Real good.
So you hit them until they stop moving, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, same as everything, really.
This is going to be interesting fighting alongside you. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, God.
Redleaf looks over at you, Sturdy Bark, and kind of like slowly shakes his head.
Yeah, I'm just looking back at him.
Just kind of slowly shakes his head. Then he raises his hand, and then he like points out towards the harbor and like nods out there.
Yep, I will pat him on the head and start making for the harbor.
How was your evening, Sturdy Bark?
Red leaf.
All right, I should have guessed as much. Glad to hear it.
With that, the branch witches kind of like start bringing over vines to you, and they just kind of like offer them up.
Thank you for having us. See you soon.
They start singing as you all start leaving.
Oh, God.
You know, that beautiful sound.
Just understand that we can't understand it. That's why it sounds like that.
Yeah, but Sturdy Bark can understand it. It sounds beautiful.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the singing. I'm doing a little dance as I'm going down.
You know exactly where you're headed, considering how A, Joe's in the party, and B, it was pointed directly to you. You are able to like meander your way through the crowd, and you pretty much all can hear the continued murmuring about the crowd and everyone who's now gathering around the harbor trying to sneak a peek at what's washing ashore. And a number of them, you can hear a number of them saying, I heard that a vampire lord is what brought this down. It was his massive skeletal ship, and his wyvern, his skeletal wyverns. And you hear someone else whisper back to them, like, no, you idiot, they're not wyverns, they're dragons. They've got 2 sets of appendages, legs. He's like, is that really the difference between a wyvern and a dragon? Does it really matter? And he's like, yes, it matters. Wyverns are smaller, I think. And this kind of is going around where people are. It's in a way they're like a game of telephone. They don't really have their facts right, but people are kind of like murmuring about random things that are kind of on the cusp of what's actually going on.
Okay.
As you approach the no-fly zone, the cordoned off part of the harbor, a stormcast kind of like stops you as you get close. You're like, "Whoa there!" Lord Castellan said no one's passes here. What are you 5 lot doing?
Oh God, did the captain go off ahead?
We were told by Squire Cerritus to head on in. We're investigating. Going to get more of the defoliant barrels. We know of the one that made it, but there should be more out there, so we're helping one of the captains get some more.
Squire Cerritus?
That's right.
Alright, well, you've seen her around? She kind of like disappeared on us.
Yeah, she came to fetch us. I don't know who she is now.
Alright, well, I guess it's... he looks down, he's like, it is kind of like her to just kind of be a little... kind of like waves his finger, like turns his finger around and like that sort of thing. Like, yeah, now what happened when you die too many times?
Noted.
He says, alright, well, go on through.
What was your name in case we do see her and want to tell her you're looking for her?
My name is Heimbrecht.
Alright.
As he kind of like steps aside, lets you pass, and then he moves right back into position. Walking towards the harbor, you can see down in the water. Well, besides the fact that it's boiling, and you can see just steam rising almost constantly from the water. You can see various bits of metal debris just kind of washing ashore. A number of laborers and stormcast mixed together, just kind of hauling the various metal bits from the ocean or from the harbor, trying to bring them aboard or up land and see if they can salvage anything, if there's any more defoliant canisters or anything like that that's washing ashore. It's a pretty heavy operation going on here. A pretty well-to-do operation. As you keep walking in the harbor, you make out the Blackfin, this ship, and you're only able to really make it out because of its captain just standing on the bow, just giving a speech out to the rest of his crew. And as you approach, you hear him saying, "Now, men, I know many of you will be sad to be leaving this wonderful town right as soon as we arrived," as a bunch of them start laughing. "But I've got news for all of you. We'll be out and back again in a matter of no time. We'll be back to see all of your various wives, your mistresses, your girlfriends, your brothel wenches, you name it, all of them. They'll get to see you in no time. It'll be fantastic. And," he holds out his hand, "we'll all get paid handsome." One of them raises their hand. He's like, "And who's going to protect us from them Nurgle boys, boss?" And one of them's like, he says back, "Well, that's the best part. We have ourselves some proud, elegant," and then he kind of like, you can hear him like get to a low tone, "and hopefully reliable, and not too stupid anyway, individuals that'll help us out." As you hear that, the crowd kind of starts, or the crew kind of starts like chuckling a bit, and they break out into a laughter. As you approach the boat.
Did we hear him call us stupid?
At the very least, I'd imagine if you were, who'd be closest to the boat? He wasn't really hiding it. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, and I have a cute sense for hearing anyway, so I hear it.
I'm not even offended.
I'll just give a big sigh and say, "Permission to board, Captain Caltus."
Oh, I don't ask for permission. I'm just gonna start walking.
Yeah, I just walk on board and
Just
say,
kind of
10 years at the
laugh and say,
ether chemist school, you can be damn sure I'm not stupid.
He looks as you're all boarding. It's like, "Oh well, yes, permission to board. Normally you have to wait."
The boat probably noticeably rocks when I make my way up, and then when Bagoose makes his way up.
Boat lists quite a bit when they walk on.
Do you have any hardtack?
Who are you saying that to?
The nearest crew member I see.
They look at you and like, yeah, but I don't think we're allowed to give it away. I think that's our rations.
We got our own, don't worry. And I kind of like tug on Bagoosh or whatever, this way.
Alright, well, I guess I'll show you to your quarters. As like this deckhand comes over and is like, yeah, please follow me. As he kind of starts to walk below deck and then notices that, well, Sturdy Bark is very, very big.
Yeah, I'm just looking at him.
And then he's like, he shouts up, "Captain, what do I, he like kind of like holds out his hand like up and down, like motioning to Sturdy Bark. "What do I do about him?" The captain looks and is like, "Oh yeah, he kind of like bounds over, he looks up at Sturdy Bark, is like, "My friend," he kind of like plays out his arm, he's like, "Anywhere on deck for you."
I mean, in theory, couldn't he go like through the cargo hold down into the gun deck or all the way down to the steerage deck?
These ceilings are not that high.
Yeah, but can't they move
Gotcha.
through wood or something ridiculous?
Can you?
What?
I don't think so. I think it move through trees, not like
Not
a
dead
boat.
trees.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
I was wondering if there could be like
if you
really
can
silly.
move through dead trees, then yeah, you can go wherever you want. You could be the boat, but I don't
think I can do that.
I think it's
also,
just trees.
I don't trust this weird boat. I'd rather be on deck.
Okay, you can provide shade to the sailors.
Yeah, they best not try it.
Shady lanes.
So with that, the the deckhand kind of brings the rest of you throughout the boat, and she shows you around, and he's taking you through. He's like, here's the
Sorry.
ship. Oh, yeah.
I also attempt to go through the door where it's at like chest level.
He like looks at you. He's like, "Can you duck?"
Just like, am I gonna crab walk through this boat?
Yes.
He looks at you. And he's like, "I mean, here we can go through the cargo hold, and like, you can come."
That's not gonna work because if he has to fight on deck, he won't be able to get through.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna burst up through the floor.
I'm going to approach the door and very gently start widening the opening. Like chipping pieces away from it.
The deckhand looks at you nervously. He's like, Captain! Captain!
I've got
I don't
my
know what to
10-foot
do."
scythe in my hand, and I'm just slowly cutting away at bits of the door.
Okay.
Doorway.
Stop! You're gonna sink us.
It's just the doorway. It's just the doorway.
Calthus comes over. He's like, okay.
I think he's trying to help Bagoosh go through there.
Okay. He looks at Bagoosh. He's like, "Come with me." And then he walks over to the cargo hold, and then the hold of the cargo hold, and he's like, "We have a set of stairs that we can just kind of like wheel here. Here, let's lift up the grate, and then you can kind of just we'll wheel the stairs over, and you can walk down."
Sure enough.
And then he looks at the deck, and he's like, "Meet him in the cargo hold, and show them their quarters and the galley and the storage facilities, and then come back on deck. I need you in order to get this ship going." And he kind of like, he's like, "Right, Captain," as he brings you all down, and he rendezvous with Bagoosh downstairs in the cargo hold. He's like, "Okay, so everyone come with me this way." He's like, here's the ship stores. If you have anything, any supplies or anything you need to leave or want to leave with us here, you can. He walks across the way, like, here's the galley. He looks over at Bagoosh. He's like, there is a strict schedule on meals. I'm sure you'll be very well acquainted with it.
Strict A.
Then he walks towards you like, this here across the way are the guest quarters. And then he kind of like opens up a door, and there's there's 3 beds in here. He looks around and he counts. He's like, "We are 1 short." And then he admittedly is like, "I don't think," points at Bagoosh, admittedly he would fit on 1. So we'll figure out something for him later. But the 3 of you can stay in here, as he points to Laura, Shadel, and Joe.
Sure. Sounds good.
And he says, and then downstairs is the crew's quarters and so on. Parts of the deck that you don't really need to be on. So steerage parts and gun deck and the like. I venture to say that most of your time is going to be here in your own rooms, in the cargo bay, the galley, up on deck, or at the various aft castle and stern castle and all. Or, sorry, the forecastle and stern castle. So you can relax, I guess. You're not expected to sail at the moment, so...
How long is this voyage supposed to be?
Well, this can range anywhere from... depending where we have to go, because we're doing more of a search rather than rescue at this point.
Let's assume we go in a straight line and meet 0 enemies, if that's even possible. How long would that take?
3 days.
Okay.
If we're going to, like...
Minus 1d6.
The Ghoul Island. He looked... Yes, the captain did make mention of your map that you told him about. That is certainly going to assist us.
Not the...
Say again?
The shortcut to the Searing Sea, not to the Graceful Wife.
Shade also said the Searing Sea, yeah.
Yeah, the Searing Sea, yeah. We, since he gave me the suggestion, yeah. Oh, because, obviously we didn't establish where the fuck we were going before.
So he looks at you and he's like, between here and the farthest point that we'll be willing to search would be the Isle of Ghouls. So that's going to be probably about 3 to 4 days, I imagine, with good weather, no issues.
Apparently we just teleported.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Found that those sweet winds.
Whoosh.
Sweet current.
Yeah, I guess so. This will be interesting because you're gonna have to do a lot of shit all in one day.
Yay.
Well, actually, no. With how this works, it'll. So 5 days. Hold on. Let me do some quick math on this one.
I mean, we could also do it to, like, if it's 3 days out, it speeds us up by 3 days going out.
Yeah,
and
because
then
it's
2
going
days
to be a
going back.
6-day trip. It's going to be 3 out and 3 back. And that's as the guy said, that is going to be without any issues while out there.
Right.
So, yeah, he was like, it's going to be probably about a week or so. Maybe less, maybe more. Depends how good the map is that you were that you brought aboard. So, see how that goes.
Over. Sorry, who are we talking to right now? It's not the captain, right? It's
a deckhand.
Oh, it's a deckhand.
I want to learn to do something on this boat over the week. What is the easiest job there is?
He looks at you and he says, well,
bilge.
I mean, he basically like, yeah, you can get water out of the hold.
No, I want to do something fun. What's the most fun, easy thing you can do on this boat?
Can you cook?
I should not be responsible for feeding that, and I'll point to Bagoosh.
Okay, hoist sails.
I want the answer. I want the boatmaster's answer.
This is the deckhand who you're talking to.
I fly on ships all the time. They got the same shit, right? So that's why I'm giving you suggestions.
He looks around. He's like, I'm not the one who really doles out daily tasks. I will go get the first mate. He can meet you down here, and I'm sure he can assign something to you.
Perfect.
Besides that, I think we're probably about ready to go. I think we're behind schedule anyway. And right when he says that, you hear like a bell on deck that starts tolling. It's like, yep, that's the captain basically telling us we got to get going. So, like I said, you can all stay down here. But we'll call if you need you. But it's gonna be a pretty, hopefully, uneventful trip. And with that, the deckhand kind of like gives his regarding like heads up, and he says, as he walks out the door, he peeks back and he's like, "I will get the first mate for you, and he'll hopefully be able to assist you." And he leaves, leaving the 3 of you, the 4 of you here. Bagoosh, you can't really fit into the room, but you can stand in the cargo hold.
Well,
I'm still on the deck, I think.
Sense enough staying down here unless there's something we need to discuss. Is there anything worth discussing? Combat strategies, techniques? I mean, maybe we should probably have all 5 of us for that anyways.
Well, I don't think there's much point in talking with Bagoosh about combat strategy.
Oh no, I heard his full strategy. It makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, I'm kind of on board with Bagoosh's strategy.
I think we're gonna be. It's gonna be you and me in the back. Sturdy Bear is smarter than he looks. He'll do what he needs to do, and then the other 2 are gonna be the meatheads are gonna be in the front, just whacking things.
Yes, exactly.
I usually don't get to be. I mean, I consider myself a sniper, but I usually am right up there in the fray, for better or for worse. So this will be a nice change of pace.
Well, if you need to go in, you'll probably have to be in melee at some point. I mean, let's be real.
Well, I'll happily not be. This is interesting.
Alright.
Well, I'm gonna go get some air then. And
as you start walking up them stairs, to go back on deck, you're greeted with an individual who's just kind of standing at the top of the stairs and just kind of walks on down. Is a bald elf. He's a bald elf, and he looks down at you and walks down the stairs and just kind of lets out a sigh and says, right, so who here was looking for work?
I'll raise my hand.
This man is greeting you. He looks at you and he says...
This man.
He looks you up and down, and he says, kind of like lets out a sigh, he's like, okay. Is this like... He like motions you, so is this like a trick?
No. I've got large muscles and an average sized brain, and I want to help.
No,
Average is generous.
He like looks at you, he's like, is this like a trick? Are you like, were you sent here to like bring me back? Or what's going on here?
I'll blink and be like, sir, I don't even know who you are. What are you saying? Unless my character recognizes this man, Frank.
You might recognize what he is.
You recognize him to be an Ideneth.
Yeah. I just wasn't sure if he was someone I knew or...
No, I think he's just feeling paranoid because seeing another Ideneth.
He kind of like, with that, he looks at you, he's like, okay. I'm Sulamek. I am the first mate here aboard the Blackfin. The captain would call me his noble Sulamek. I would call me just an average individual in a, well, beyond average situation. Well, I'm here to make sure this ship runs properly, considering how the captain really has no idea how to keep a ship together on these boiling seas. And on top of that, I keep track of all the crew and happenings aboard the vessel. If you want to work, I will gladly put you to work. We always can use more hands on deck. Perhaps I could have you... perhaps work one of the hooks or lines, or any debris that might get in the way. Is that something that you think you could handle?
Is it something you think I can handle?
Looks at you and said, you just said you have big muscles and a small brain, was it? So I think it's me.
Nope, I said average brain. I said an average brain.
I chimed in and said small brain.
Big muscles, average brain, so I think that means we can probably handle this. So I guess I can have you on deck, and I'll have one of the deckhands show you the ropes. No
Good
pun
joke,
intended.
sir.
No pun intended. I did not mean to make a joke. That was not.
That was a funny joke, sir.
Oh, I was not joking. Anyway, I will see you topside then. He looks at the rest of me. He's like, "Oh, I guess it's worth noting. Do the rest of you want anything? Are you looking for anything to do aboard the ship? What's the deal here?"
Hardtag.
I think I've already walked past him to hang out Sturdy Bear and kind of just... I'm keeping an eye out for barrels. I'm doing like stretching, exercising, and like practicing combat maneuvers. That's pretty much it.
Hardtag.
Yeah, I'm still upstairs as well, so...
He looks down at Shadell. I hear that man over there saying hardtack. I'll get him some hardtack. Do you need anything?
Very good.
No, I'm gonna go back to the room and set up some equipment.
He looks over at you, Bagoosh. Hardtack?
Just don't let him eat you.
It's great for the teeth.
That's what I'm told. Okay, I'll tell the galley chef to get you some hardtack. Should I have him bring it here, or where are you staying?
I'll be on deck.
Okay. We'll bring it up then. As Sulamek walks back up on deck. For all of you on deck, you you are able to see the harbor in what many would describe as splendor. Various ships that are anchored here and various crews that are partying, or rather, partying's the wrong word. They're rather living aboard their vessels, waiting for clearance to come into the harbor, waiting for shipments or what have you. Just kind of all being merry as you're beginning to sail out. Here on Akshi, I guess you would all know this. Here on Akshi, the sun's basically never really set. It gets to like a low dusk type of lighting, and then your day kind of starts over as the next sun kind of circles in. You're currently at this point where the sun's hanging fairly low in the sky. It's almost like a blood red color. And reflecting off of the oily sea, it's actually quite beautiful. It's reflecting off like the petrol in the water, and it's giving it a nice sheen. Yeah. And you hear the captain say aloud, "This is what it's all about. The open sea, the beautiful sky, and the money we're about to make after this long, hard journey. Let's hear it, lads! Let's hear it! Let's get this ship moving and set sail for that island." As everyone cheers and everyone mans their stations as we start sailing out of the harbor. So, as you're all sitting aboard deck, you experience the Blackfin sailing out across the red petrol seas. As the crew mans oars and they start pushing off from the dock, and really before lowering the sails, using these oars to get out of the harbor. You see the captain at the stern of the ship with first mate Sulamek by his side, and they are looking out through a spyglass. And any of you on deck looking at this scene around you can see that Sulamek has a very intense look upon his face as he's looking through the spyglass. As he lowers the spyglass and passes it off to the captain, his face also begins to turn more stern. Slowly the ship leaves the harbor, and it becomes very apparent that you have high tide, which is, well, opportune for you to lower for the crew to lower the sails and you to set sail. As you start leaving the harbor, less and less debris is being noticed. So less and less of the metal debris. So the various deckhands that are trying to hook the debris to get it out of the way of the ship, and those that are showing you, Loris, how to do it are... The load is lightening, so they showed you how to properly throw out the hooks and the nets and get the debris out of the way, and you pick up on this pretty easily, considering considering how adept you are at fighting, as well as being able to hold your own and lift your own weight and carry yourself. This is something that comes pretty easy for you.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'll do that over the week plus that where I'd say, like, just generally.
And as the debris lessens and lessens, you begin to come to the open sea. It's at this point in time that you can tell, and any of you on deck can see, Sulamek turn to the captain and whisper something in his ear as the captain holds up his spyglass, looks out starboard, and as soon as he looks out starboard, he turns to the rest of his crew and he says, "Hard to port, everyone. It appears that we have something to the starboard side. Let's avoid this. Everyone, get us hard to port and head out that direction. For you, Shadel, and for anyone that observed the map, you know this to not be the direct heading to get to the Isle of Ghouls, the end of your trip.
Okay.
So you know something to be wrong here, and something's happening. As the crew listen to his orders and bring the ship hard to port as they straighten out and start heading in not the opposite direction, but definitely a direction that's going to take your trip from being a 3-day trip to much longer.
Okay.
I will go ask about that. Just kind of walk up there and say, "What's the detour?"
He looks at you like, detour? What do you mean detour? This is exactly where we need to be going.
Do I see the direction that they're looking at with the spyglass?
Yeah, if you were looking at them, you would see where they're looking.
Can I use my lenses to see what they're looking at?
Sure. While you're looking at that, the captain looks to you, Joe, and says, "What do you mean? You said you weren't a sailor. How would you know the direction we're going? How would you know our heading here and if this is the right way?"
Well, that's why I'm asking. I'm not sure. I thought it was based on the map that was shown to me. It was more of like that way or that way, but this way seems off. But if you could explain to me, I'd happy to learn.
He kind of like looks hesitant. He's like, "Look, it's just there seems like there was trouble out that way. I don't want to." It seemed like there was some. He takes the spyglass and he shoves it into your chest. He says, shoves it to your chest, turns you, and says, "That way," as he just points.
All right. I mean, I don't need trouble. But take a look.
Anyone can take a. This would be a DN.
It's awareness.
This will be a DN 5-2 awareness, a 5-1 awareness for anyone with a spyglass or lenses.
Is mind?
Yes.
Yours would count.
I am not going to do that.
So 5. Right down.
You said 5, right?
5-2 for everyone else. So we
2
both succeed.
successes for me.
Oh, my fast.
Wait, no, I don't know. If
Oh, 4 1s and a 2.
Success.
Wait, did you roll?
I rolled a 6.
Rip sturdy bark.
Yeah, what the hell is that?
3-1 to the 2.
He injured himself while looking, I guess.
Yeah, I was not.
Missing red leaf. Looking back
Exactly.
the other way towards the harbor.
Exactly.
Waving
The tears
the red
from
leaf.
missing red leaf obscure his vision.
Actually, it would be technically a 4-2. Now that I think about it, looking it over, which you still didn't get, but
No, sir.
Okay.
the rest of you would. Looking at your successes, you both, looking out starboard, notice. Let me make sure I get this description right. Looking out starboard, you see the rotting remains of a Nurgle ship. You see the rotting remains of a Nurgle ship that's thrashed upon rocks. The normally petrol shimmering water looks as if it's just it looks as if it's just mired with rot and brown feckled water surrounding this vessel. From the rotting wood, you can see various bulbous tentacles and green pus and what looks almost like a skin over it, kind of writhing upon the rocks here. It's almost fungal in nature. you can see the various mangled bodies of what look like humans and bulbous humans at that, just kind of littered amongst the wreckage here. And what almost looks like pallid green looking creatures kind of scurrying about the wreckage here. Upon you seeing this, Joe, and making it almost... Upon you seeing this, Joe, the captain suddenly just grabs a spyglass from you and looks at you and says, "That's why we're not going that way."
Fine by me.
And then he looks forward and says, in a very low voice, "Anything that takes out a ship like that is not something we want to be dealing with."
Do you know what it might be?
He says, "There's a lot out here that can sink a ship like that. Let's hope that we don't encounter anything like that, though. The last thing we want to deal with."
Should we give like a 2-finger salute? Just, aye, aye, Captain.
Right. He looks out and he says, "All right, crew, here's the deal. We are going to need to keep this vessel moving throughout the night if we want to make it there and back again at a reasonable hour." He looks down, he says, "Our good friend here," as he motions down to Shadel, Shadel has offered us a map for our journey, which he believes to be better than our own. Well, we'll have the helmsman take a look at that and navigate our way there and see if it actually will be of benefit, though I speculate not," as they kind of chuckle a bit. The rest of you, make sure everything goes swimmingly, otherwise we'll be swimming out there. Everyone laughs a bit. He says, "Right, well, enough of my stand-up routine. I'm going to see myself off to my quarters. If anyone needs me, well, don't come looking for me." He kind of motions to Sulemek, and he's like, "Go to him instead." And he sees himself below deck.
I'm gonna saunter over to Shadel and ask, Shadel, how many barrels of defoliant do you think there are total? Assuming we got all of them, how many would have been on that shipment?
Now, I imagine I would know the answer to this, but
It would.
I don't know what it actually is.
We're looking in the realm of like 30-ish barrels.
Okay. Say well.
Well, 29 now.
Oh yeah.
There's at least one in Anvil Road.
Well, they've recovered one. There's only 29 more to go.
And if it's several days away, couldn't it have gone in every direction from there? I mean, I don't really know how waves and water work, but
I think the more realistic fear is that someone else has taken it.
I see. So should we be searching every ship we come across and saying, you know,
we're gonna
immortal fighters going to kill you if you don't give us a chance to search your ship, or what's really
well, first we'll go to the shipwreck to see if we can find any.
All right.
But after that, we're just gonna have to figure it out. I imagine we'll run into trouble along the way. Don't worry about it.
Okay. I was gonna say you're the boss. I guess you're the boss.
For this, I am, I guess.
All right. Well, let me know if you need me. I'm just kind of...
Sure. I'm actually going to go below deck.
Okay.
I'm going to go back to the quarters.
I'll have a chat with Steady Bark. And then I don't have a chat with Steady Bark. I just like
linger.
Well, I'll look at you. I'm not trying to look mean or anything to you. I'm just standing here next to you. I'll sort of start miming the jumping jacks here and there.
It's a dance.
We can do some yoga together.
Yeah, the funny thing about the Kurnos is they're actually kind of athletic, so you'd be able to do it if you wanted to.
No, exactly.
Sulemek comes up to you, Bagoosh, and he kind of like thrusts He thrusts something into your chest, and he says, "There you go. There's your heart attack."
Cheers, mate.
And then he walks over to you, Loris, and he says, "So if you're not here to get me to come back, why are you here?"
Yeah, I was gonna say over the week. I mean, we can RP it if you want, but over the week, I wanted to kind of get to know him, where he's from, and kind of explain that I'm trying to figure out the whole soul dilemma for our race. You know what I mean? Like, that's gonna be my goal over the week. So if you want to RP the whole thing, I'm totally fine. But it's just kind of like a thing.
No, actually, that's fine. That's good to know.
Just like who he is, where he's from, what I'm about.
Yeah,
and
no,
like I'm trying to solve this whole
that's
thing.
good to know. Yikes, what I just did then. I didn't know you wanted to go through something like that, and
not like in a weird way though, just like, you know, we're on a trip for a week.
This is good. Admittedly, this is a very good stopping point because where we're about to be. Also, it's time. Where we're about to be is going to be a
combat hotspot.
With how things are, it can go either way. There is a lot that can happen out here. The least of which could be combat. The most of which could be like exploring islands and shit like that. So
Yep.
we got a lot of stuff we can do.
Do you want to cut the
So this
stream
would
if
probably
we're
be a
playing
good
next?
time to stop, actually. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I was
and
waiting for.
we'll pick a news a date we're gonna play next. Too.
Yep, so let's cut the stream.
Bye, Twitch. How do I end? Where's the button? I don't know.
Have you streamed before? You know how to stream?
I don't know how to. I haven't used
Hey,
OBS
never
forever.
streamed.
Stop